Good morning. Please open page number 9 in your booklet. Is it 9?
7.
7, sorry. 9 is for the Sanskrit people. So we start. This is only those who already know it. So don't join, you will learn it later. Only those who know the Mangala Sutra, they will recite it now. Madhya sanstopi sarvada mahavyoma samavishta tishtam yasmin nirapilaha tamapurvamanavisham asparshamaniketanam Samvit vikalpa sankalpa kartanam namyanutaram yogi bhakta sambhuta sutranam vrittiruttama kena pitriyate samyak Paratato parimhita. Today we have a very powerful and highly mystical text, and you have already heard from the introduction and that, like Abhinavagupta, we are not proceeding from the ground level and then go up to the higher stages, but the whole tradition is one where you are already at that high level. Only you have to recognize it. So it's only a question of recognition. So there's no question of feeling shy, oh, I'm not ready, I'm not prepared, I don't have that much of background knowledge, I don't have that much of experience and so on. So both the attitudes of underestimating your spiritual capacity and overestimating, they are both not proper, because again here also you have to find the Madhya. you have to be conscious of your limitations. You have also to be conscious of your abilities to be at the highest level of spiritual experience. So in that sense, we are plunging right in the second day into that text, which is very special and which has a lot of connection with the Buddhist tantras, especially the yogini tantras. Now, before we, maybe first I will give you the translation, that you have a copy of the translation of these Mangala shlokas, which you will learn eventually. Because these Mangala shlokas, they already give you a lot of the content and that whole spirit of the text. I praise that excellent sudden inspiration, and afterwards we come to all these words. What is this sahasa and so on? Anuttara. Excellent sudden inspiration that can be attained from the mouth of the Guru, which is the essence of the immutable state, void beyond the void, the changeless, brought forth by the force of the unity friction, and which shines forth everywhere in the vision of the one who moves in the space of consciousness. Gita. Glory to the unborn, who is without any abode, with and without sequential order, in time and beyond time, karma, due to its all-transcending mode, whose nature is the wonderful space of consciousness of the Absolute. I praise that which has come out from the ocean of the heart of Venerable Vattulanatha. It is translated as consciousness. Literally, it's from the ocean of the heart. It's very beautiful in this Mangalas, how this text has been received and has been not composed, you cannot see, it has been received. And it has come forth from the ocean of the heart of Vattulanatha. It's very beautiful, that ocean of the heart which is the ocean of consciousness. Free from the differentiation of worship, worshipper and object of worship, by which, being always established in the center of all activities or mental modes, having entered the great space, I am established in it, being unaffected. Now this is of course a crucial verse, I'm sorry for my voice today, a crucial verse for our topic of Madhya. Being always established in the center of all activities or mental modes. We talked yesterday about the difference between concentration being centered and being established in the center. Having entered a great space. Now space is always a metaphor for the freedom of consciousness, of the Absolute. I praise the Absolute Unsurpassable. We'll come to Anuttara, which is original, not penetrated, beyond contact, without location, the union of all thoughtful and thought-free processes of consciousness. Someone, now here the commentator, Ananta Shaktipada, he expresses that he is only an instrument of writing a commentary. He doesn't give importance to his individual person and his name and so on. It's only at the very end that we know that he is Ananta Shaktipada. Someone composes an excellent commentary on the sutras which have come forth from the mouth of the yoginis, overflowing with the true inspiration of the Supreme Reality. Now, we have two expressions how this text has come about. It has come forth from the ocean of the heart of consciousness of Vattulanatha, so he was a siddha. It is not like Vijnana Bhairava, that it was revealed by Shiva, but he was a siddha. And it was not his creation. but these sutras have come forth from the mouth of the yoginis. Now this is very important because the whole text and tradition belongs to the yogini lineage. Now in the whole of so-called Kashmir Shaivism, there is a female lineage which is the yogini lineage, but these yoginis have not composed any text, but they have inspired. So it is their inspiration from the mouth of the yoginis that Vatulanatha has received the sutras. So it is an intermediary state between, like you have the Shiva Sutras, they have been revealed by Shiva also through using that Siddha Vasugupta, who received in a dream, and then he went to the rock, and then he found the sutras engraved on the rock. So this is an intermediary state of revelation. It comes from the divine, but not in that direct way as the tantras. Tantras are a dialogue between Shiva and Shakti, Shiva and Devi. But here the yoginis, they have inspired the siddhas, the perfect beings, siddha, and the yoginis have inspired them for this kind of composing these sutras. So that yogini tradition, and we have the names of some yoginis in that lineage who were human beings and who became divinized, but they were still gurus in their own right. They initiated mostly women. So there is Kalyanika, I have all the names, there are only 3 names transmitted by Abhinavagupta. So this yogini tradition, then it finds expression in a text like this, Vatulanatha Sutras. Now the name Vatula comes from Vata. Vata means wind. And there are sages and there are siddhas which are driven by the wind. And this is in the Rig Veda, it's already there, the Vratya. It is a group of ascetics who were not Vedic in the orthodox sense, but they were very extreme ascetics. And there's just one trace in the Rig Veda where they're described and they're called munis, and but they are driven by the wind. It's a very beautiful hymn. I just give you girded with the wind they have donned ochre mud for a garment. So soon as the gods have entered within them, they follow the wings of the wind, these silent ascetics. Intoxicated, they say, by our austerities, we have taken the winds for our steeds. You ordinary mortals here below see nothing except our bodies. It's a very beautiful expression for those high munis or siddhas. They cannot be recognized by ordinary people. He flies through mid-air, the silent ascetic, beholding the forms of all things. To every god he has made himself a friend and collaborator. Ridden by the wind, companion of its blowing, pushed along by the gods, he is at home in both seas, the east and the west, the silent ascetic. It's a very beautiful hymn of the Rig Veda. And our Vatula Natha is definitely in that tradition of siddhas who they are driven by the wind, and in any spiritual tradition the wind is a symbol of spirit. Spiritus also means wind. Now there is a tradition among Pandits that I think everybody of you knows what is a sutra. I don't have to explain that. It's the briefest possible aphorism which contains a lot of wisdom and philosophy in its extreme brevity, and then it needs a commentary to explain. Now there's a tradition among Pandits that if on any sutra, if you know the first 4 sutras, you know the whole text. And because you don't always have time to read all the Brahma Sutras and all that. So here, it's not because of that, but we will read the first 4 sutras and the commentary. And of course, our leading thread is always the theme of Madhya. So we will lead to that Madhya and explain as far as possible. Now you have in your booklet, you have a lot of copies from the Vatula Sutra, because this text is not easily available, or practically it's not available. And so there are 2 versions. One, only up to Sutra 4, from the Kashmir series of texts and studies, which has been published in Srinagar in 1923, to be very precise. And the editor was edited a number of texts. Pandit Madhusudan Kaur Shastri, he has also provided an English translation, which is normally not the case. The English translation is very old-fashioned English. You have to make an effort to simplify it somehow. But at least it is a help. But I couldn't give you the whole book. Your booklet would have become too much. But those who want, one can photocopy it. And we have it, of course, in the computer. So the Kashmir series of texts and studies is the first edition, from which you have some, a part up to Sutta 4. And the reason also why I have the courage to teach it is that my Guru, Swami Lakshmanju, has taught it and explained it orally. And that oral teaching has been copied, not very well, not well edited, but at least you have a copy of the whole, that little booklet. And it is already interesting that Swami Lakshmanju doesn't always agree with the commentator and the Shaktipada. And this is a sign for a living tradition. A living tradition doesn't mean that you have just to copy exactly what Shankaracharya or what Abhinavagupta. No, it is a development. And if you're inspired directly from the source text, and then your experience, so there is a development in understanding, in interpretation, and so on. That's a living tradition. Otherwise, it's just stagnant. So Swamiji has differed in many points from the commentator, and we will look at the most important points where he has differed. So this text is spiritually very demanding, and as I said before, we should not think that we are not capable or not up to the mark to receive it, because it is placed at the highest level of the upayas. We have already talked of the upayas from day before yesterday and yesterday, and that is anupaya. Anupaya means that way where there is no effort, there is no even thought, because thought is at the level of Shakti, of Jnana, and it is, as we will see, and as in the very first verse of the Mangalas, he says, Guru Vaktra Gamyam, it can be received from the mouth of the Guru. And that is, of course, the direct transmission. And direct transmission, we are not always fortunate to have such a Guru who can transmit it directly. But it means also that the